do you rely on motivation to get things done? Well, if you do, you're not alone, because there is so many people out there that use motivation as the gateway to achieving their goals. I'm Zach and welcome to the New Zero. And in this video, I'm going to explain something that I learned this week that can really help you become more consistent in the things that you want to achieve. Now, I came across BJ Fogg's book, Tiny Habits, quite a while ago. But first, I heard a lot of this content from Jim Quick, Jim Quick's podcast on Spotify. He interviewed BJ Fogg, and he's the one that taught me to build habits into my lifestyle that focused on using existing habits, or using, what was the keyword he used? After. So to do things after an existing behavior. Now, I started reading his book around 5 days ago, and he mentioned something in there that really stuck with me, and it was the behavior model. When you're trying to change things in your life, it's really important to break down the individual behaviors that are involved to get to where you want. And he talks a lot about goals and aspirations and outcomes. I don't want to go into too much detail because I haven't finished the book. I've only just started. But I do want to explain the behavior model. The way that BJ Fogg views behaviors is using something called the behavior model, which I already mentioned. But he says that behaviors equal motivation, abilities, and prompts, or motivation plus abilities plus prompts. And you need to have all of those three in order to perform that behavior. So to simplify it for you, think of the last time that you felt a sudden surge of motivation to do something. It could have been that you wanted to prep your meals weekly, or you wanted to do an hour of exercise a few times a week. It could be anything that you wanted to accomplish, but the motivation surge helped you start that. My question is, how consistent were you with that behavior? Were you doing it as much as you wanted to? Did your initial surge of motivation help you continue with that, or did you end up sort of fading away and stopping that behavior completely? So this behavior model really gives you a third person perspective. It sort of takes you out of the equation, and it makes you start to think about, what are the things required to get this done consistently? And I'm going to share in the description below a link to the behavior model so that you can see it. But it basically works like this. Imagine that you wanted to do an hour of exercise a day, and for you, you're not the type of person that exercises every day. So you would say that your ability to do that it's quite difficult. It wouldn't be the easiest thing to do compared to doing 5 push-ups, for example, or 5, what do they call them? The knee push-ups. So that would be, for you, your ability, it fall on the more difficult end. So whenever something is harder to do, it requires a lot more motivation to get that done. And this is where his model comes into play. He has the ability on the, I don't know if is this the X or the Y axis? Whatever it is, on this axis, the horizontal. And motivation on the vertical axis. So if you want to do an hour of exercise 5 times a week, you'd require a lot more motivation, and you'd require, or the ability to do it is a lot harder. So on the horizontal axis, you'll be towards the harder end of the scale, and you need more motivation. So what happens is there's a curve, and this is the prompt curve. So for you to do the actual behavior, it needs to fall inside that curve. Imagine that, and I'm going to have a drawing on the video anyway, so you guys will get to see it. Imagine that your motivation is sky high, and you're able to do it for the first week. The moment your motivation decreases slightly, that your ability to do that behavior is still difficult, which means if it falls beyond or below that curve, then you won't do it. And this is where people fall into this trap all the time. They initially start with a lot of motivation, and they make the behavior that they wanted or the desired behavior are so difficult that when their motivation decreases slightly, they stop doing it, or they're less likely to perform it. And the real aim of what BJ Fogg is trying to achieve is make things easier. Don't rely on the motivation. So instead of focusing on the 30 minutes or 1 hour of exercise, focus on the 5 minutes. Get that done, because 5 minutes doesn't require as much motivation as 1 hour. So once you get that 5 minutes done, anything on top of that becomes extra. Make your measurement of success a lot lower so that you feel good. It's like when I was younger, if my parents told me to go study for an hour, I generally only study for 5 or 10 minutes. And that would seem as a failure because the aim was really to study 1 hour. But if you reversed it and you said to yourself, go and study for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, you're a lot more likely to get that done. And anything on top of that becomes extra, and you start to feel a lot better about yourself. It doesn't mean to aim really low, but it's to try and look at the behaviors themselves. Once everything becomes a habit, once you get used to it, it almost becomes automatic, and then you can start to increase it. So if 5 minutes becomes really not just easy, but almost you're almost doing it without even realizing, you can start to increase it, or maybe add different bits throughout your day where you exercise. But essentially that's what the behavior model is all about. Now, I do want to say that I've been doing these videos for a few months now, and I do enjoy filming them and editing and doing all of that, but I think I'm going to make the decision of transitioning to another area, and that is cooking. For a long time, my passion has been food. Anyone that knows me knows that I love my food way too much. And a couple of years ago, when I did change my eating habits and I decided to do consistent meal preps and just really focus on eating some nutritious foods, I wasn't calorie counting. I still don't calorie count, but I was a lot more conscious of what I was eating. I still eat junk food, but the reason why I'm saying this is that I will move my channel towards more of cooking. So each week I will be recording my process of meal prep so that you guys can see what it is exactly that I'm cooking each week to eat and to really sustain a healthy lifestyle. Now, we know that with healthy lifestyles, it all comes with balance. So what I'll do is I will do my meal preps and show you guys on video what that looks like, but every now and then my meals will not be that healthy. And I also want to show you that because I think we do need to incorporate a little bit of excitement and fun into our life, and food can really help you achieve that. So there could be days where I'll cook an unhealthy pasta, or maybe it's some burgers or whatever it is. Also, I'm not a professional cook, so there is going to be some fails and you're going to see that. So I'm not just going to show you the pretty side of cooking, but if something doesn't taste good, I'll tell you the truth. And if it needs a certain adjustment, then I'll also let you know. So maybe I cooked a chicken and it tasted really bland. If it needed more salt or it needed more whatever seasoning I was using, then I'll mention that so that you guys can cook the better finished product. But that's it for this video. I would really recommend that you pick up this book. This could potentially change the way that you approach a lot of your behaviors that you achieve throughout the day. So Tiny Habits by BJ Fogg. I'm only up to page 55. There's over 300 pages in this book, and I really think that it can help you achieve a lot of the things that you've been putting off because you're simply not motivated. So I encourage you to just think of some of the behaviors that you've wanted to achieve, whether it's exercise, whether it's healthy eating, whether it's studying, and approach it in a new way. Approach it in a way that looks at your ability as well as your motivation and the prompts that are involved to achieve that. I hope you enjoyed it and really looking forward to filming my meal prep as of next week, which will be on the Sundays rather than the Saturdays. Make sure you leave comments down below if you have anything that you want to ask, or maybe it's any dishes that you want me to cook in the upcoming videos. But apart from that, enjoy your weekend, and I will see you next week.